What are you expecting them to try and pick in as a response with this Terrorblade? Is there something that they require to make it an even better TB game?
Really, to be honest, like it's pretty good so far. You've already got the Grimstroke and the Pangolier if they try to PL, so you didn't even need to ban out the Phantom Lancer, who's one of the bigger counters to the Terrorblade. Really, all you need is just more stuff that's going to hold people in place. Like I was saying before, the Pangolier is already kind of providing you that. So maybe just a direct counter to, or even just Vision. Vision might be nice, just to give the Pangolier a little bit of an easier time, make sure that the Grimstroke isn't getting jumped on. But I really like this Terrorblade pick for Summit Gaming. They're leading the draft in my eyes.
Radiant team pick.
Ooh.
There's Vision. There's that extra initiation.
Clockwork. That's a hero that I've been waiting to see if people are going to put as much priority on it as I think it is deserved, especially with the changes to the battery assault, dealing more damage to creeps. I think this was always one of the biggest issues with the Clockwork is just your lack of farming in general, whether it be just split pushing the map, clearing out waves, but also just keeping up in farm and getting like a really value item to be able to help out.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you could just rocket flare to the other side of the map. Keep lanes pushed out without actually being there, which is a pretty decent tool. But yeah, the battery assault just so effective now for being
Radiant
able to
team
farm.
back.
Just once you've even got it up to level 2, you're
Dire
very quickly
team
able
back.
to farm some of these neutral camps. And when you're in a lane, it's not as easy as the enemy team just walking into the creep wave to be able to soak up a lot of the damage. You're actually going to clear that creep wave out and maybe even get a few kills that you wouldn't have before.
Radiant
But
team
good
back.
puck counterpick to that as well. We were talking about they need that instant lockdown. Pangolier obviously isn't going to provide it. Clockwork does a little bit, but it's not the longest of lockdowns, at least until you're full levels on the hook shot when you get the 2 second stun on that. So maybe this is a game where the Clockwork, because you're able to
10
farm a
seconds
bit more,
remaining.
are able to get that Aghanim Scepter a little bit earlier so that you can actually look to provide that little bit of extra lockdown.
Do you feel like they have to go for, well, what are we're looking for a position to at the moment for Summit Gaming, so
Are we? Could be a mid Pango,
that's very true
especially
actually.
10
into a puck.
seconds remaining.
I mean, I
So
know that Made in Philippines are
Radiant
banning out these
team
other
pick.
heroes, but I would be picking an off lane now. They go on the puck though. I mean, Leshrac is another one of those heroes that's got a lot of nice little changes to it in the most recent patch. The probably biggest one is the change to the Bloodstone to make it a little bit more viable, but also just the Lightning Storm. Now instead of hitting 4, 6, 8, 10 targets,
10
it hits 5,
seconds
7,
remaining.
9, 11 for a little bit less damage early on, but that just means that when you're using
5
that to be able
seconds
to
remaining.
secure range creeps in, the first couple of waves, it actually hits every single unit. So all the creeps plus the hero. So you're always going to be able to guarantee some extra harass onto the puck. So clearly just valuing the tower push potential, wanting a little bit of that extra stun, but it's going to require some cohesion between particularly the Clockwork and the Leshrac, making sure that he's in position to be able to follow up on the Clockwork's initiation, because it is still very heavily on, can you catch out this puck with the Clockwork?
it even more makes the possibility of a PL not really there with this lashback being picked up now. So Made in Philippines, you're going to look for a different carry answer. You do at least have ways to be able to take objectives with the Dragon Knight, so you don't have to be concerned about that with your position 1 pick. I would like someone that's able to have a decent amount of damage early on, because I feel like the Lesh, if he goes, I think Eternal Shroud has been buffed up. Bloodstone if he goes down that route as well, and I'm concerned maybe Made in Philippines might be lacking damage to blow up the Lesh.
Yeah, I'm just thinking what they can even go. Like the Lifestealer is still in the pool, but it's pretty terrible against the Terrorblade. The Juggernaut's been banned out, which would have been a decent answer with the magic damage you're able to
You
dish.
may now select
I
your
guess
heroes.
that's a hero. Again, it's the same sort of issue with the puck, right? You're not able to instantly get onto the Morphling and look to burst him down 100 to 0. So there's that aspect, I guess. So you are a Skadi builder, so it's going to be nice against the likes of the Leshrac to be able to deal with you. But I'm not really seeing a Terrorblade answer just yet from Made in Philippines.
It is a pretty good Morphling game, though. They are
Yes, it
going
is.
to, like, it's a solid lane, Morphling Chain Protector. I think you always need to pair the Morphling with, like, a strong melee 5 that's able to soak up a lot of damage. Chain Protector well and truly fulfills that role. And the lane that he's going against, which is going to be the Pango Grimstroke, they don't really have the potential to blow him up. Maybe like a swashbuckle from the tree line is really the only thing. Swash into maybe Stroke of Fate, but it's not like they can get a stun without him being ready for it. So he should always be able to get the attribute shift off. So I think this is going to be a pretty solid lane for Ken. And then as the game goes on, like being able to replicate into the Terrorblade is always nice. You get your own meta, your own illusions. So I don't hate the Morphling, but it's going to be a bit slower paced here.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, like we always say, when you're going up against a tree protector, you got to make sure you're getting out to that lane ASAP and clearing out those trees to the side of the lane, just to give yourself like an area of the lane, like you position yourself a little bit more to the right because it's further away from the trees, and it means that it suddenly becomes a little bit more difficult for the Morphling to be able to CS because you don't have that big tanky body in the tree and protector in your way to be able to prevent you from getting a lot of those last hits there.
Well, how are we feeling about this game one with the two open qualifier teams? Do you feel like there is a lineup that you would favor out of the draft, or do you feel like it's relatively even?
I would prefer to be playing Summit Gaming's lineup just because I feel like they don't have a great answer to the Terrorblade. The Leshrac is going to provide you with that Diabolic Edict damage, so you're not really caring so much about the living armor. For the tower pushing potential, of course, Terrorblade as well just dishes out a crazy amount of damage. I think this is the first time we've seen the TB as well ever since the Metamorphosis change, or at least I've seen it in a competitive game. So you're going to be dealing out more damage in the laning phase as well. And we mentioned before the Clockwork buff up. Yeah, I think Summit Gaming might have this one.
I also just like the fact they have a Leshrac. I think this hero is very, very strong right now. And I think he's going to be probably top 5 of the position 2s that we're going to see in the meta. I think, like you said, you brought up the Lightning Storm and the buffs to this hero in that regard, but I think really Eternal Shroud and Bloodstone is the one I'm looking at. I thought those were two pretty solid items overall prior, and Leshrac's like didn't hate going down that route. But now with the buff to Bloodstone, like I really think it's going to be a core item on this hero, and I'm still also concerned that they don't have burst to be able to deal with Mercury. So we'll see where the damage is going to come out for Made in Philippines, but I've been asking for the Lesh and I get it, so I feel like it's only fair that I give them the edge.
The battle begins.
We even get Trezam here. Obviously, TB is quite a low HP hero, so you're going to get relatively better return out of any kind of regen that you've got. And Clockwork, he's actually gone the Headdress, that level 1 build, so constantly going to be refreshing the TB as well as any kind of illusions HP in the laning stage, which is going to be good. You've also, with this Clockwork, got the potential to rotate through towards the mid lane to be able to secure at least the water runes, deny that away from the puck. Of course, TB, he's not bound to the lane. As long as you've got the Conjure Image, you can at least take a small camp in that time, or make sure that the wave is pushed all the way back underneath your own tower. And it's not a crazy kill rate. Top side, by the way. They are looking to make a bit of an attempt, but the Dragon Tail early used onto the clock, preventing the use of that battery assault. What are you thinking? Are you thinking Summit as well?
Yeah, I'm thinking Summit. I just, I see the Leshrac. I think this hero is going to be pretty strong, and I'm just concerned how Made in Philippines can deal with the Leshrac, so I do think the draft is pretty even, though. Like, I wouldn't give it a big advantage to one side or the other. And that's kind of the position you like to be in, especially for game one. Give us an execution-based game, not one where it's kind of decided in the draft.
Yeah, of course. You know, we want a close game, as always, but I feel like both lineups are good for different reasons. You know, it's a pretty good puck game, it's a pretty good Morphling game, but I just think it's a better Terrorblade game.
And I think the Morphling doesn't match up as well versus Terrorblade as what he used to, especially with this E-Blade build. Because the Terrorblade has a ridiculous amount of agi gain, so anyone with physical damage, that's really not the greatest way to bring this hero down. A lot of the time it's going to be off the back of magic, but the fact that Morphling, he can't go down this E-Blade route with like the dual shotgun, so I think that was a big reason why people would pick that hero into the Terrorblade.
It's a little crazy, but I wonder if this is a game where Puck wants to go into the you know, Witchblade is always a pretty standard item for the Puck these days, but is this a Revenant's Brooch game? I mean, high agi heroes really suffer against the Revenant's Brooch late game, and then Puck, of course, has the Aghanim Shard that allows you to hit all enemies within attack range plus 200 every time he phase shifts. You're able to phase shift every 6.5 seconds, and, you know, you can deal with the illusions fairly well with that damage as well. I wouldn't hate to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see how JG looks to itemize in a game like this, which is a pretty good Puck game as well. Like, they do not have the easiest way to execute a flurry of stuns here from Summit. So if JG can get off to a good start, find those early items, then we could see the Puck snowball.
Oh, absolutely. Like, again, like I was saying during the draft, it's really going to depend on the cohesion between Trezam as well as Mercury, right? Will Clockwork and Leshrac be able to find the synergy needed to be able to get that lockdown? Hookshot into Cogs, into Split Earth, then you can take him out. Top side, TB, in a little bit of danger here. It's always going to happen whenever Trezam leaves the lane, but of course he's just constantly feeding him through the tangos. He's got the headdress as well, ticking up for the TB, so he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, they got the second level in the Metamorphosis, and it is available for Unknown, so they would like to get aggressive with it, but the only issue is the kind of maintenance with the creep wave. They haven't done the greatest job on Summit, so it's not like they can look to get a kill with the second meta, so looks like Unknown's just going to try and shove the lane out instead, but Trezam might be a bit too late for the pull.
And it's off.
I should be able to get it.
Very nice.
At least a half, yep.
So I was have him a little bit more occupied though, so Mercury's going to have to battle up against Lucify, and a bit too late with the Split Earth, so both the water runes will be going the way of Made in Philippines.
This is what happens with that equilibrium, right? I was mentioning that the Clockwork is probably better served at being the one to make that rotation through, but when the lane's pushed up this far towards the DK and the Radiant Tower, he really isn't going to suffer. He's not going to die in the lane. And, well, they're actually the ones that are going to make another attempt here onto the DK. But Trezam, he's... Ooh, I was thinking... I mean, now I suppose you can go the level 3 power cogs, although, of course, you want to go the double points battery assault. Level 4 is really going to be the time on this top side that someone are going to look to try and go for a kill.
Radiant
Now,
Warrior
just
has
looking
been
to harass a
killed.
little bit.
It's been
Mid lane, JG's going diving here.
Oh, Mercury. Got CZY also rapping through the river.
Is under attack.
Sun's gonna connect, but with how weak Mercury is, he's very hesitant to follow up with CZY's initiation. So
Radiant structures are
it's like
fortified.
Summit. At least you keep Mercury alive. That's the main thing.
You're about to call him Jay-Z for a second there.
Yeah, I was-
As, you want to run an encore?
I was gonna go crazy with the words there.
Bot side, though, this is really good for Ken. Of course, Morphlings just really want those super early levels. Level 5 now, it's going to be incredibly difficult for him to go down. Might have even been able to go for an aggressive attempt there, but the healing salve used onto him, brought it up in by the courier. And Ken, just with a 2 points waveform now, won't be enough to be able to take him out. But this is what we're expecting, right? We're expecting a little bit more of a passive game, just farm trades, and all lanes are going pretty decently. I mean, the fact that Unknown on the Terrorblade, like I said, I think it's an incredibly good Terrorblade game. So the fact that he's top of the net worth right now, some should be feeling pretty happy about that. But then the next 3, they're on Radiant. So really is pretty even trade here.
Double damage.
So where are we expecting the action to break out? Is there a side that maybe is going to be looking towards their level 6 to where we could have our first bloods, or are we looking to the power runes? Or maybe bottom is JG.
Really?
He's going to TP down and drop the coil. Pinkler's going to get a little bit of damage reduction thanks to the shield crash, but he doesn't have mana to swashbuckle away. With an orb back up in a couple of seconds. Oh, they get the miss on the high ground, though. They still have the ward to scout out his location, so JG will jump after the orb. And he's able to secure our first blood. So there we go. There's the answer to who's going to find it and how they do it.
So picking out a double stack here, although in that time, Mercury was able to walk through towards the Radiant Triangle and take that stack away. They're going to see that they're trying to build up even further capabilities for them to farm, but you'll see at least that the hard camp is blocked up, although he actually misses the stack on the Ancients as well. Just going a little bit too late there. Still, though, nice little injection of gold for Mercury.
Repeaters got the catapult and a decent chunk of this Elder Dragon form as well. So someone else from Dire is
Gee,
going to
he's
need to
gonna
come
die.
top.
Dire's top tower is
Trying to
under
chase
attack.
down JG. Not going to get the kill. Meanwhile, back to top we go as Repeater with the help of Lucify. We'll be able to get the kill and then help secure the tower. Repeater's going to make sure he can keep the Cardi alive. DB does a pretty good job to pull the wave though to the hard camp. So it's going to mean that Repeater will have to take some unnecessary tower hits if he wants to keep the catapult going. And yeah, that's not going to be the case.
Very tradey. Like, neither team is incredibly happy or sad with how things are. I'd say probably Summit slightly ahead, right? Leshrac being able to get a lot of that farm early on with being able to steal away those stacks. Ooh, are they going to get a kill on Mercury here? He wanted to commit for that invis rune, but he might have just gone a little bit too far.
Core's going to be dropped down. Lucify rotating to mid as well. It's a lot of damage coming through for the Magic, and now Mercury's in trouble. Trying to toggle with the bottle. But the bonus sip charge is not going to be enough to keep him alive. Crush is going to swing in as well. But Rolling Thunder doesn't get the stun connection as JG is able to draw into the higher gun, but Crush is hunting. We're finding, we've been trying to use the Cory as well to scout out JG's position.
Literal difference in seconds there. You know, maybe if the Lashrak fully on commits to that invis rune, I think he would have been able to pick it up prior to the Treant Protector being there. He had the Sentry Ward, but, you know, maybe that means that he doesn't hit quite as many of those right clicks onto him, doesn't go down. So, very big kill for them to be able to pick up there on Made in Philippines, although you just see Unknown continuing to farm, hasn't really been contested too much at all, and he's going for this build that's going to allow him to fight early on as well, nearly having picked up that full Dragonlance.
Yeah, and I think Unknown did a really cool move before. We highlighted a little bit, but with the Terrorblade Illusion dragging the Creep Wave, so they weren't able to get full value out of the Catapult. This has meant that the Clockwork has been able to continue playing top, just soaking more experience. So he's going to have level 6 surely, just not going to have it off this range creep. Probably one more wave. Well, actually, it's very close. What, 6 experience? So this is really important. It's just you slow down Repeater from taking this early tower and just give Trezam a location where he can get a little bit of me time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder, I mean, you're not going to be able to not reveal the fact that you're level 6, so you're not going to have that Unknown counter initiation coming through for the Puck, but it just means that the Puck needs to be a little bit more conscious of the fact that, okay, I can't really just look to dive in super deep because, of course, I can die now that the Clockwork has gotten up to this stage. I think they might have smoked just a little bit too early there. The residual vision from the Creep Wave probably saw that that movement was happening, so just having a look at where Made in Philippines are looking to play around now that the trio is roaming towards mid. Again, it's all about the synergy between Trezam and Mercury.
There we go. Hook to start, Inkspot to follow up as well. They'll have plenty of damage to get rid of the Treant Protector. So Teehee the first to kill it off.
And the Edict, and the Siege Creep. So this tower should be falling down here.
Dire's top tower is
Going to require the illusions to tank up the tower right clicks, but of course it's a Terrorblade. They've got a good amount of armor, and the micro through from Unknown is decent as well, but nicely done by Lucify to be able to clear that one out. So that's a tower protected that probably should have been going down. And in the meantime, Rapido able to take the top one.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, and they know meta's on cooldown now as well, so they might look to get aggressive and actually do a little bit of their own damage in the T1 tower mid, especially with a double damage rune on JG.
Dire's structures are
They got 2 points in the Stroke of Fate, I suppose, so CZY able to do a decent job of clearing out the wave. Of course, it means that your lockdown isn't going to be as good, but they should still be the ones to claim the second tower of the game. Fox has Hook available again if he was wanting to use it. I think this might be a pipe game for Trezam to look to go for.
Dire's middle tower is
You're up
under
against a
attack.
lot of magic damage. Just to be able to provide that little bit of extra protection for the TB illusions is going to go a long way towards your
They're gonna
damage
try and go on
output. They've already
Ken.
got the headrest.
Let's see, hook shot in, Inkspot with the follow-up. They're gonna need all the chain control they can get. And with Crusher's Rolling Thunder, that is a perfect way to execute the kill, blowing up Ken, who was free farm. That's the first death on the Morphling.
Mercury's having to play very careful now, though. They are looking to scout him out with the stolen rocket flare through from the Rubik, and they'll be able to catch him out. Dream Coil
This is
used,
so
and that's going to be
deep.
Mercury dying.
It's such a deep attempt, but no TPs are coming out. Made in Philippines, they will not be punished for diving under the T2 tower.
I mean, even if they TP'd, what could they have done, right? They used the hook shot and the Rolling Thunder to be able to kill the Morphlings, so they didn't really have that turnaround potential.
Now bottom lane, Crush going to be their next target. Teehee with the threat of the Overgrowth. Lucify stole the Diabolic Edict as well, so this will be plenty of damage to get rid of the Pangolier if they're able to catch up to him.
Be nice, right? Pop the Diabolic Edict, steal the Rolling Thunder, chase him around with the explosions.
Trezam has backstab, but
Even got the
the
pick
reactions from the telekinesis. Trezam will not continue the chase. They are stuck now in between the tier 1 and tier 2. Crush got to try and get some distance, but the Overgrowth still held in the arsenal, so Dream Protector can use it to lock in the Pangolier, so able to make it back to the higher ground. Crush has got an opportunity to pop the Rolling Thunder. It's got to go down to the west, but meanwhile, CZY on the Grimstroke should be killed off easily, as Rapido is going to tick him down to the poison. Did they get out of the
Lucify
Pango?
was nearly able to get the kill there with the swashbuckle. He just missed, but still able to get a kill. And again, you're not going to have this Rolling Thunder for the next minute or so. So they're going to be feeling very confident in being able to put some pressure on the map to farm a bit more aggressively, because all you really need to be worried about now is your Clockwork. So as long as you've got information about the position of him as well as the Lashrak, you know that the damage output isn't there. He's going to make use of that headdress on the clock, but not gone the pipe like I was expecting, just into the mechanism instead.
Now, between the two carries at the moment, they are both getting as much farm as they would ever want in a game like this. Unknown still flawless, hasn't had that first death. Hold that thought as Trezam. They're going to try another attempt with the... Oh no, the smoke just popping, and now JG... He senses an opportunity. His Rapido's going to stand nearby as well to reveal the Blink Dagger. So get rid of the Clockwork. Now considering about turning to the Pangolier as well, but they've already blown all their stuns on the initial jump, so Trezam will be the only person killed off.
Slash got now. Is that a Yule Scepter coming out to him? Okay, so that's a little bit more survivability for himself. Of course, just having the Void Stone as well for the ability to stay out on the map. I think that was a little optimistic coming through from Summit. You know, they obviously had the Pangolier paired together with the Clockwork as well, but it really feels to me like unless the Leshrac is there, you're just not going to have the damage needed to be able to secure these kills.
Look at Radiant with their wards. Very, very aggressive ward placement. One that just scouted out Trezam, TPing back to the T2 tower mid. They've got another one by the cliff location in the top jungle, kind of by the outpost, so... This is going to really enable them to play aggressive, which they want to do. You got Witchblade on Puck, you got the Blink on Rapido, so you want to be the ones that are infiltrating the jungle of Summit.
Yeah, and Clockwork doesn't have a TP, so they're just going to push up onto this top side at the very least, get a glyph out of the Summit Gaming lineup. This is a tier 2 that's being hit by a Dragon Knight. It's something that you can't just ignore. Of course, we were saying before, Ken having a pretty good amount of farm in the early game, so even him is able to get a good amount of damage into that tower, but it is still Summit just able to secure that tower for free. Now, with Mercury, he can just look to stand in the trees with a Diabolic Edict, look to take that one down. We'll have the glyph at least to be able to delay this one a little bit if they were wanting to on Mated Philippines, but looks like they're just going to give up another tower. Oof. 14 damage.
Oh, no way. Oh,
Are
they gonna let him get it? Nope. Okay.
Oh.
Hookshot in. Cogs push back into the Split Earth.
There's that synergy.
Oh, that is beautiful, Trezam. Great initiation.
We even got an Invisor in on the bottom side if they were wanting it for Mercury. It's going to be... Oh, actually, that involvement gets Crush up to his Blink Dagger now as well, so that's a big deal. Now you're not just locked into requiring that hookshot to be able to get a lot of these kills. You could look to try and split up those cooldown usages. Lucify. Just hanging around a little bit here on the top side. Just thinking maybe he might have put that Tinker Ward there just to be able to scout out any movements towards the lane by the Summit Gaming lineup.
They will be, they're going to be aware of Crush having this blink. The Pango's running underneath that observe ward, so there's going to be no blink to catch them off guard here. And Made in Philippines, T is pretty goddamn farmed on this Dream Protector as well. He's going to have blink after this next creep wave, so that's going to be an exceptional way to hold the Leshrac in place while he's trying to charge into the middle, but more importantly, it's a really great way to deal with the Pango Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still... I wish Trezam went the pipe. I know it's not an amazing item, but again, it's just going to allow the TB to stand and fight. And I feel like the mech might be a little bit too reactionary, and you're not always going to be in a position to be able to get it off to its full effectiveness to protect the illusions. Mercury on his own on the top side here for now.
Rock it on.
Lucify steals the Pulse Nova. Doesn't really have the mana pool, unfortunately, to be able to take advantage of that.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
They're still probably going to be securing this tier 2 tower. I mean, you can see the movements coming through from Summit to hopefully make that not
Dire's top
happen, but
tower is
I think
under
they've just
attack.
resigned themselves to the fact that they've lost it.
Are you surprised that they feel like they can't take a fight, especially with meta available? You just got your blink on your Pango.
I guess, yeah, a little bit. I mean, the Leshrac can buy the Boots of Travel now if he absolutely wants to. I feel like Summit can take a lot of these team fights pretty well. I mean, they're not super lacking in team fight. I mean, sure, you're going up against a Tree and Protector now with the Blink Dagger and the Overgrowth and a Puck. Of course, very substantial damage output as well. But, I mean, you've got a Pangolier with the Blink. You've got a Leshrac that's pretty farmed. And like you were saying before, the meta is just so potent. So, I mean, maybe just wanting the one ultimate orb for all those stats to make your illusions a bit beefier.
See what the call is going to be for Unknown. He's going to make his way over to Secret Chop, and there you go. That's one of the ultimate orbs, and is it go time now for Summit? I mean, we're 18 minutes in, only 10 kills. It's been a very slow-paced game one to start off. Our best of 3.
900 gold away from the Eternal Shroud, so maybe that's what they're waiting for. Just giving that huge buff up, and well, Shazam trying to get a free kill or two in the meantime, but that's going to reveal their positioning. So it's just back to farming for Summit. Their vision isn't amazing right now. Actually, they've got a pretty good ward inside the triangles, so they're going to be able to scout out the movements of both the Rubik and the Morphling for now. Know that there's no real threat for TB and Leshrac farming.
Run to Crush. Pangolier's going to be caught out. No one else is really nearby. Trezam's going to try and give him some bonus health back with the mechanism, but that will do nothing as Made in Philippines. Nice heads up play from them. They knew the hook was on cooldown. They knew Summit were trying to back off. They didn't want to take the fight, so it was an instant smoke from the lads on Radiant.
They also had vision on the Leshrac as well due to this Observer Ward placed down previously by Teehee. It's actually stopped a couple of ganks now, both onto him as well as the potential for that counter initiation coming through. So, well, this Aegis certainly gives Morphling a lot more peace of mind to play just that little bit more aggressively.
Oh, Lucify? They see Trezam as well. He's on a quite the expedition is the clockwork. It's going to be given over a free kill over to Made in Philippines.
At least you get away on the other heroes that are in the region, but I feel like that was really just about looking to take attention away from where Leshrac was trying to push in the bottom side. All the while, they obviously don't have the glyph, so they're wanting to bring people down towards the bottom area. They were able to take the tower down to half HP. I don't know, like I feel like there's a stage where you need to all-in commit onto something, right? And maybe it's after this creep wave. I know you're up against the Aegis again, but you're going to have the Eternal Shroud available.
It just seems like they're very comfortable with this Terrorblade getting a bunch of farm. I mean, you were under the assumption as hold that thought, Crush. Be forced to Rolling Thunder and TP out. So that's your... It feels like they're using ultimates and these small abilities where they're getting nothing out of it, and then it's continuing to slow this game. We haven't seen them use everything in conjunction.
I suppose, but it also counts on Made in Philippines to take advantage of the fact that these ultimates are on cooldown, right? Previously, sure, they saw that the hookshot wasn't available, they got the kill on the Pango, and they converted that into Roche, but it hasn't really stopped Terrorblade from farming, right? He's still top of the net worth, he's still 500 gold away from that Skadi, which is going to have great impact against all 3 cores on Made in Philippines' side. So, well, it's going to be another death coming through from one of the supports, but again, as long as the TB's farming, you're generally okay with it. Just Unknown's positioning has been pretty solid so far, looking to constantly stay 5 seconds ahead of all of the Made in Philippines.
They're going to try and smoke from Radiant, see if they can catch out. They might run into Trezam or Mercury.
Would be the big one.
Not easy though. Yule's Eternal Shroud. He's not going to get the Shroud off just yet. They're going to try and blow him up before the items are utilized. And okay, he won't even have a possibility to pop any of them as Ken waveforms in, gets rid of the Leshrak's life.
Trying to, put some pressure onto the other lanes, quickly shove them in with the Pangolier. Mid lane, though, that's the one that you're concerned about.
They're still going to make an attempt on JG. They know the phase shift was used. And Lucifer also stole the Rolling Thunder as well. So let's see how they're going to try and take this engagement. There we go. Charge it up. Lucifer going to try and bounce back over towards the Pangolier. Is not as comfortable with the Rolling Thunder, it looks like, in a close proximity like that. But it looks like with the help of JG's coil, Crush is still really making it work for it. Is he going to go back in and steal it? Oh, JG just gets the kill with the Rocket Flare. Drazam, he's got 3 points in the flare, so that's enough damage to even out the trade. Of course, it'll come at a cost at your own life, but you are more than happy with that.
Dropping the cogs before trying to escape, but yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, of course, being able to secure that kill. I'm a little surprised that the Pango didn't live as well. Of course, the mech, like I've been mentioning, such an effective tool, but requires you to be so reactionary. Bottom tower nearly going down as well, just through the constant push coming through from these TB illusions with the Manta, with the Skadi. It's a lot for a Treant Protector even to be able to deal with, so it forces the TP rotation down from this Dragon Knight. And now the fact that he's down here might give them the trigger to say, okay, yeah, look, the pings are actually happening on the map saying, hey, DK's down there. He doesn't have a TP. He doesn't even have mana. So let's group up. Let's make a smoke attempt.
There we go.
That's exactly what Summit do. They're going to lead with Mercury. Hopefully he lucks out with the rune. Oh, I mean, what better one could you get at this stage than the Arcane rune for a Leshrak? All cooldowns available for him.
But they part their way now for Summit. Towards the bottom outpost is the call. Kenny's farming. 35 seconds on the Aegis. What's the play for Summit? Do you wait this one out?
I mean, if they can again catch the puck, that's the big deal. Or just
might
able
get the
to get
bounce
the
back.
phase.
Very close. And wow, look at the damage that Mercury's.
Thought they might commit with it there with a hook shot onto the puck, but still not going to be able to land it. And they have been able to heal up this bottom tower just that little bit further. I mean, the Treant Protector is obviously going to have a lot of value here. You've got all of your items you needed. You knew that the Elder Dragon form wasn't available at the time. You knew that the DK didn't have the TP, but they still aren't able to get something out of that movement. So a little bit of a missed opportunity there for Summit.
For Made in Philippines, I was going to say, they got a pretty good board on the high ground. I thought Crush was going to continue venturing into Radiant's territory, but he's going to back off, making sure he does not get caught out. So the Aegis advantage, they get 2 tier 2 towers. The lads have Made in Philippines. They've been able to grow this net worth lead up to 2,000. But you've got these BKBs to fight with. Repeater just completed his. Ken has a BKB. So both of the charges at 9 seconds. So would not be surprised if we see Radiant try and take a fight. But the question is where can they really go to get this engagement?
I mean, the big thing for mine is just the order that they've gotten with their items. I actually really like the fact that Ken's got the BKB before picking up the Skadi for himself, because it's going to mean you can man-fight against the Leshrak. You can man-fight against the Pangolier, more importantly. You know, just stand there and use the good amount of farm that you've been able to pick up to just not care about almost all of the Leshrak's damage and the Pangolier's influence as well with that team fight.
Radiant are scanning.
She Made in Philippines. They were ready to pounce on any opportunity to get a kill inside that river. Just waiting for the power rune to spawn, but it was a nice scan from the Leshrak, who was aware of that attempt from the lads on Radiant. So this one's going to continue to stall out a little bit. And we're really getting to the stage where both the carries, I mean, they're flip-flopping back and forth between the first and second place in the net worth. And you were under the assumption that you're happy with the Terrorblade scaling than the Morphling in this matchup. Do you feel like anything through this game has maybe changed your mind, or do you still feel like that is the case?
I mean, they need to take successful team fights. That's the big thing for mine for Summit. I feel like they've missed a couple of opportunities to do so. I mean, now the fact that you've disassembled the Dragonlance to pick up the BKB, they want to fight now because they can see that the TB has fallen a little bit behind the Morphling. Morph, importantly as well, has been able to get that level 20, so he's got the waveform attacking targets. So while he's got that BKB pop to be able to contest the Lesh and the Pango, like I was saying before, he now has a way to be able to not care so much about the TB just wailing into his face.
Shazam. Gonna run into Tiki. JG's nearby, but die. They've got more numbers to be able to take the engagement. They're going to be cautious if they get leashed together on the park. And they're going to do just that. JG now crushed with a flop. They get the first stun. The second stun's going to fly in afterwards. Do they have the damage to be able to blow him up, though? JG! Oh, they'll bring him down. Unknown steps in, gets the double kill with the Terror Blade, and he didn't even need the Metamorphosis.
Yeah, I believe, is that the completed Dragonlance coming back out to him again? Yes, it is. So he's just going to be able to siege down this bottom tower. They'll use the glyph to try and delay it a little bit further, but that range creep survives, so no backdoor protection, at least for the next little bit, and you're going to be feeling very confident without the Dream Coil to worry about just to take this next fight here.
Summit.
So that was the big team fight win that they needed.
Without a
It wasn't even a
doubt.
team fight, even just
Repeater?
to pick off and swap that control.
They don't have JG just yet, but Ken's even going to think about showing up to the engagement. Do they feel content with taking this fight? They won't have Trezam. They might be able to turn it back on the Morphling, though. Stunned up for the moment. It's going to be Camp, but pops the BKB. It's going to swashbuckle down to the low ground, so Made in Philippines, they want to get out. They don't feel comfortable with fighting into the Metamorphosis on Unknown. Mid lane, JG. Just run into CZY, nothing crazy, just a Grimstroke kill, but you'll take what you can get, especially with this slower pace game. Getting any extra gold and experience off the kills is definitely going to be handy as the game continues to progress to the mid stage.
I'm liking the Kyron Sanj build from JG that he's gone for as well. Like I was mentioning before, you do need to be able to layer those stuns on top of each other. So something like the Lincoln Sphere isn't going to be too effective. You don't really want to buy a BKB on a puck. So yeah, Kyron Sanj feels pretty damn good to me.
How's he going level-wise as well? I think that's an important thing. A lot of people have...
18.
Yeah, so going decent at the moment. His counterpart as Mercury's Leshrac is up to 20 though, so Mercury's gone for the bonus Pulse Nova damage and is also going for the Sunj and Kaya and has the Bloodstone queued up afterwards.
Yeah, I think you need to go this route. Like, you have people that can frontline with you, right? So you don't necessarily need the strength. You're not that sole focus on the front lines in a lot of these team fights. You need that bonus damage. You need to be able to kill the puck if you do get that initial burst through. And of course, the extra Pulse Nova damage, it's going to be nice against the likes of a Morphling and a DK as well. Speaking of them, though, they're going for this Roshan.
Oh, it's a DD. No way.
Rocket player. Yeah, but they know. They know.
Smoked up. Crush gonna jump in the middle. Is able to get the ink spot up, but look at the damage!
Oh, the damage!
Oh my lord, the Morphling just rips apart Crush. Now you still gotta respect the damage from Unknown. He doesn't have the meta
Oh, the
though.
stun!
They don't have the meta for this engagement, so Repeater's gonna jump straight on top of the Terror Blade. He can't get the Sunder off. There's no opportunity. Now they're onto Mercury as well. As Ken, what a lucky rune to find the DD at the mouth of the pit, and they bring all 5 down.
They bring all 5 down, and a big part of that was on the back of Lucifer. What a steal. He gets the Split Earth. Of course, he's playing a Rubik, so he doesn't have that that wind-up cast time. It made him able to instantly get off the double stun. Of course, it also has the spell amplification as well, so it's just so much damage that they were able to layer out. And what a big team fight coming through from Made in Philippines.
Is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
That's really broken this game wide open here for Made in Philippines. Up the high ground they go. No tier 2 tower top as well, so I don't know if they're going to stick around for it. Maybe they could get 2 melee barracks.
Dire's middle barracks are under attack.
Crush.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
Cautious, my guy. Ken's even going to go in. T4 towers, who cares? Inkspell stun's going to be there. The Cog's kind of protecting him so they can't get the Rolling Thunder, and we won't even be able to channel it as Ken. All the farm that the Morphling's been able to pick up, really showing how much damage this hero can be pumping out.
At least he's able to, like, you give up your life on the Pangolier, sure, but it means that they aren't able to convert that top tower into anything further. So it's only going to be 1 lane of racks that you're behind, but I was really expecting more out of Summit for a lot of their movement so far. It feels like they've been on the back foot a lot. And, yeah, I mean, obviously 4 staffs are a good build this game. Rubik's got one, but he doesn't even need it necessarily, right? He's got the 4 staff. But the big thing for me is the Aghanim Shard with the telekinesis that he's been able to just lift people out of the cogs constantly. And the Split Earth, of course. You've got the Aghanim Shard. He's going to have that buffed up version of the Split Earth for himself as well.
Coming in.
Look at this. Repeater is even itemized into a halberd on the Dragon Knight. So really going to be slowing down how much damage that the Terrorblade will be dishing out. He's working on the data list as his next item, but if he's disarmed, then you can go with damage item, but you're not right-clicking, won't help out.
Does feel like it's at the stage with Made in Philippines. They're like, okay, we've got this Aegis for the next 3 minutes. We don't need to split at all. We've got all of the items that we need to be able to take these team fights consistently. They might want the Wraith Pact, but they don't need it right now. And as long as they're grouping together, you're not going to get another solo kill pick-off.
Smoke's gonna
Maybe
pop.
they will, actually, with Shazam
Yep.
able to find the Treant.
They're going to be nearby, though. Rapido jumps inside the cogs to Pangolier. That's a big target. They can blow him up. Oh, my
Another
God.
stun.
Ken is just demolishing them with this Morphling. Now, Mercury, he's in trouble as well. JG continuing the hunt. Rapido, he's going to blink up in a couple of seconds, so he'll be able to find the Dragon Tail if it's required, and it won't even be. Oh, my. Made in Philippines. Just back-to-back fights, and this game seems like it's all theirs.
I think Lucifer just solo killed the Grimstroke as well. Like, I think it was a Split Earth into a Firebolt into a Stolen Stroke of Fate.
Is under
So
attack.
just really nicely done by him as well. Yeah, dealt 1,200 damage solo against this Grim.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Another full set of
The second
barracks.
lane.
Even Puck he's TP down bottom. He's like, yep, well, we got some more objectives that need to be claimed. Let's start to get to work on the
Dire's
tier
top
1 and tier
barracks
2.
has fallen.
Level 25 on the Morphling. How many waveform charges does he have for you? He's got 12 extra for me now that he's hit level 25.
Yeah, he's got 12 as well for me.
Excellent. Does he also have a Pango face on the portrait?
No.
Okay,
He's
well, he has
still-
a Pango face for me. So scuffed. I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this.
He's still chilling as a shark. Yeah, Morphling is a fun, interesting hero. Can't wait till they make him broken again. Get all Morph Earthshaker days. Ah, yes, the
I
classic.
mean, he's mobbing all over them right now.
Ugh. Dude, what? There's an Octarine on the Rubik. What's going on? He's almost as farmed as the Pango. Now, bottom lane. You still have the Ages. Lucifer considering about the telekinesis to keep him alive. They're just going to jump the Leshrac instead. Oh my, doesn't get the Eternal Shroud off at all. Not that it would have came in handy. The Morphling, though, is still taking a lot of damage for the moment. They're going to disarm Unknown. Let's see how they can set themselves up for round 2, though, in Made in Philippines. They still have the Park and Repeater nearby. A coil on the tree line, leashing them inside this engagement. There's going to be no way they can escape the onslaught, as it's all up to Unknown, the sole survivor, but a BKB soon to expire, and they can chase him down afterwards. JJ's going to be a bit cautious, gets the jaunt off for the last second, but a waveform in aggressively can. He knows no way to stop.
Thunder.
The tracks keep on going for the Morphling. Unknown finds the Sunder. They still got the meta, needs to stand his ground. There's going to be no escape. You just got a man fight. And in the end, it will not matter. The G's are dropped and Made in Philippines. What a game 1 performance.
Yeah, really nicely done. Big standout mentions coming through to Ken as well as Lucifer. Lucifer 7-1 and 16 at the end of that on his Rubik. It really shows why they're pretty happy to first phase it for them. But for me, the biggest factor of that game result was Summit. They never took advantage of their timings. Like, they hit a lot of these big early game landmarks, I suppose you could call them. The mechanism on the clockwork allowing you to team fight, although I think the pipe still would have been better. You had the Terrorblade, who had a pretty early Eye of Skadi as well. You had the Blink Dagger on the Pangolier, and they never really converted it into anything significant. And as a result of that, it meant that Unknown was constantly having to play on the back foot. He was still able to dish out a good amount of damage in those last few team fights, but it just felt like you were too far behind at that stage. So, yeah, Made in Philippines really taking advantage of some of these mistakes from Summit and claiming game 1.
Yeah, it just felt like it was a cleaner executed game for Made in Philippines. And we're going up against the open qualified team. Of course, both these teams are open qualified teams as well. Summit Gaming, with their first series, they weren't able to have they did have success. They were able to beat TNC, but for Made in Philippines, they were the ones that weren't able to find that success. So
I have one more thing before we go to a quick break between the games. Are you able to look at the post game screen for me?
Yes, sir. What are we looking at?
All right, have a look at Losify's damage received this game.
Yes, I see 3,600.
Pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts. Like that little damage received for the entire game when you're up against a Leshrac that's running at you, you're up against a Pango that's rolling at you, you're up against the threat of a Clockwork hook shotting you. He was just always in the right spot to be able to get those telekinesis saves against a lot of this early initiation that requires that chain lockdown to happen. And of course, I've been gushing over him the entire time. He won them the Roche fight. He won them probably that last engagement as well with some double stuns. He was getting solo pickoffs, and he only died the one time the entire game. So really, really great performance coming through from Losify there. Let's see if he's able to back it up in game 2.
Let's see if he's able to back it up in game 2, and let's see if Made in Philippines are able to back it up in game 2 as well. Or, Summit, maybe they can find something deep inside them to be able to come back and tie up the series, but we'll see if that's going to be the case or not. We'll see you guys after the break.